So if I had less than $10,000 in the bank, this is what I would do. There was a time when I had less than $10,000 in the bank, and that was a long time ago. However, I remember it very clearly, and I remember thinking about the steps that it was going to take to get out of it, to get to a point where I actually had a little bit of money and had some kind of hope for the future. And so what I want to share with you in this video is about the reality that most people are financially vulnerable, and if you're watching this video, that might be your case. And if an emergency happened today, that could you handle it? Because there are so many people out there who have all kind of advice all over the place, and they are living in a way that conflicts themselves. And that is the most absurd thing to me. That's the most absurd thing that I see in and among people who are working in their finances, even small business owners that are opening a business. I met with a business owner who opened a business 2 years ago, and he was closing his business this past 8 months because he opened it. He did a bunch of really dumb financial moves, and he couldn't sustain his forward movement, and he had to close it. When his product and what he was selling was actually very profitable. I looked at the business. I was like, man, if I was in your business, I would be making bank, because if you just invest some money here, clean this area up, I mean, you are going to have a massively profitable product, and you're going to be able to sell to thousands and thousands of people. This is a really good business, but he couldn't, because he couldn't bear the weight of his, being unkind here, of his stupid decisions that led him to where he couldn't handle the financial mess that he was in. So the reality is that so many people out there right now, they don't have enough money to deal with a financial emergency of $1,000. I mean, to me, at this point in my life, and because we've been living with my family for so long in this mindset, this behavior of spending less than we make, right? First of all, I can't imagine not being able or living with the fear that if something happens in the realm of $1,000, I can't take care of it. I mean, at this point, something happens in the realm of $10,000, I'm not worried about it. Maybe, I mean, I think I feel it because I'm so astute to looking at finances and paying attention to the numbers. But I mean, even a $20,000 expense. So anyways, I just say that because I want to communicate to you that's not the way it has to be. Just because it's the norm of everybody around you, just because it's the reality of the people that you're with, that doesn't mean that should be that way. I hear so many people say, well, you're always going to have a mortgage, so there's no point to get out of it. Like, what kind of stupid logic is that? You're always going to, why? Why are you always going to have it? I don't have one. Why would somebody always have one? Well, you can't make enough money to pay off your mortgage. Why? There are a lot of people who do that. I mean, look on the Dave Ramsey show. You can hear people making their debt-free screams every single week. How? They're saying, I'm debt-free because I paid off all my small debts and then I paid off my house. They exist, but the culture that we've built in America says that, no, you can't do this. And so what I want to share with you is the behavior and the mentality that and some steps that you could take to be able to get there. Because there's so many people in our country who need this today. And they're living in fear, and they don't have to. They simply don't have to do it. So the harsh reality that people live with is that they have a negative net worth. I heard Alex Hormozy say, babies have, and that's so funny to me. When you're born, you have more of a net worth. You have more of a net worth than you have when you're like 35. I'm sorry. I might be laughing at some of you out there right now, but that's pretty dang hilarious to me. A baby that's just born. And by the way, I know babies. I've got 8 of them. I've had 8. They're obviously not babies anymore. One of them's 14 and the other one's 6 months. So I know 8 months. So anyways, I know babies, but the funny thing is, if that baby is born and he has more of a net value than I had, that would be insane. I mean, that's contrary to any logic or sense. How would that be possible? And so, but most of the world, most of America, and that's crazy to even think. Okay, the government lives like that, but that's the only entity that can kind of live like that and survive. The rest of us, we have to live in the real world. We have to live in the world where your negative net worth actually means you have a negative net worth and you need to deal with it. Because that's your legacy going out the window. That's your future. That's your hopes and dreams. That's the vision of your life crumbling before you. And so um, we got to deal with this, guys. We got to overcome this, and I'm going to share with you what I've done to overcome it. And I think that it's going to help you, and that you're going to be able to take those steps and implement those behaviors so that your life is way cooler, is way better, and you actually end up a millionaire. Somebody listening to this video right now, if you just do what I'm going to show you and how I did it, you're going to become a millionaire. I'm a multimillionaire by now. By the way, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the owner of a CEO of Taika Translations. We're a digital products and translation and interpretation services company, and we're launching more businesses and products all the time. And if you like this video, if this is helpful to you, if you find this is any helpful in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just encouraging, and you think maybe somebody else would be encouraged by it, please like and subscribe and push the notification bell. That would be really, really encouraging to me personally, because I'm making more and more videos like this, trying to simplify the difference between where somebody is here and where somebody wants to be. I want to help you get from here to here, be that in-between process that helps you get there. Okay, so the first step that you have to learn, and this is more of mentality than anything else, and so many people struggle with this because your mentality is basically, it's wrong. Okay, so sounds really simple, but spend less than you make. Okay, now I know I haven't been a high income earner all my life. I haven't. When the first 10 years of my marriage, we were not, me and my wife, Margarita, we were not we did not have high incomes. We made less than $100,000 a year. We still managed to save enough money to build 2 houses. I actually, quick story, I built a house on a piece of land that's, oh my gosh, don't do this. I've done stupid, guys. The only difference between me and everyone else out there is that, I think because I worked on financial principles early, and it allowed me to get through a lot of the stupid things that I did, and unscathed. Well, scathed but not destroyed. Okay, so I had a close relationship, and I built a house on a piece of land that somebody said, I will give you the land after you. I will give you the land, and so just go ahead and start building your house. So I built the house, and they didn't give me the land afterwards, and that was very discouraging and broke my heart. And wow, we can all cry and be sad, but I was dumb. I made a really dumb financial mistake, and I learned from that, and will never do it again. However, I made enough money while I was in the United States Air Force. Me and my wife saved up enough money to build that house, and then once we figured out that, oh, this house and this land is not going to be ours when we're done, this is really bad. This is a really bad situation. We got to figure out something else. We moved, and we took another 6 years to save up enough money, working on our company, to build another house, and that's the house that I live in right now. I actually literally, with a team of about 8 people, built this house myself from the money that I saved over that 6-year period. It was tough, it was hard, but I've been living in this house for 4 years now. It's worth a lot of money. It's 6,000 square feet. And houses my wife, and my 8 kids, and we don't have to pay anybody anything. It's completely debt free. So the first thing you have to start learning to do, and this is, remember, back then I didn't make more than $100,000 a year, is live on less than you make. So I have a challenge for you, and if you'll just try this, you'll be really surprised. Do a 30-day challenge where you spend absolutely nothing on anything but essential stuff. You need some fuel to get to work. You need some food. You got to pay your lights and electricity, but don't spend money on anything else. Nothing else. Cancel the stupid subscriptions. Cancel the subscriptions that you're not even paying attention to, that you subscribed to 15 years ago and you're not paying attention to, and you don't realize that you're still paying for them. Look at your bank accounts and cancel those. If you find any expenses on your bank report, like, oh, what is that for? Figure out what it is and cancel it. And go 30 months with 30 days. 30 months is a great idea, by the way, but that's way too cumbersome. Go 30 days without spending anything on anything except essentials. So step 1, spend less. Let's see if I can spell here. Spend less than I make. Okay. Boom. Let's just put some exclamation marks, because that is the first step, guys. It's the first step. you have to learn to internalize. Spend less than you make, okay? Spend less than you make. Boom. If you spend less than you make, you'll start to realize that there's a possible path to the future. But this number one discipline is a choice that you have to make first. You can't get to the next step without making this choice first. And it is more of a choice related to your behavior than it is an outward influence on your life. Get over the victim mentality, get out of the rat race, and write down what the things that you have to survive this month are, and start spending less than you make. This is such a simple but a profound principle that you have to embody at the very beginning. My wife and I, we started spending less than we make. Heck, when we first got married, like that was I'm very grateful to God that that I found a wife that was very logical and very helpful and very focused on finances and making sure that we were not wasteful and just did not care about all the pomp and circumstance. Like she's just like practical, and Maggie's amazing. My wife is amazing. I'm going to bring her into some videos. You guys are going to really enjoy her being here, but or just getting to meet her in some of the future videos. But we decided to live on less than we made, and we did that as a couple from the beginning of our marriage. And I was doing it before we got married, and she was doing it before we got married. And then when we came together, we just combined those efforts, and it's like an explosion of really awesome companionship, work, and success because we're united in how we think. So I think it's so important because number one, you yourself it's where you decide if you ever want to be truly wealthy in your life. If you ever truly want to get out of where you are in your life and do something greater. Spending less than you make is about that, and it's about, if you have a spouse, unifying your vision with your spouse about what you want life to look like and what you want that there is a possible future and that you want the future to look better than it is today, and then you together with your spouse can get there. And so spending less than you make, that's what it's about. And you have to make the decision. You have to make the decision to do that. Now, how do we do that? How do we even think to do that? How can we even get to the point where we spend less than we make? Okay, so to spend less than you make, you have to have a plan. So that's a budget. You have to live on a budget. And you have to have an emergency fund, guys. If you don't have an emergency fund, emergencies are going to happen, and you're not going to have an emergency fund. That sounds dumb, right? So if you know emergencies are going to happen, it sounds suspiciously like when your grandmother said, "Hey, you need to have some money for a rainy day." Yeah, rainy day fund sounds suspiciously like an emergency fund, which is an old way to say just have some money set aside for when something happens that you didn't plan for, or when a negative event in your life happens. Or like my friend a couple weeks ago, he got rear-ended and the driver just drove off, and he went to the hospital. His car was totaled, and the guy, they couldn't catch the guy, and he only had liability on his car, so his car was totaled. And what did he do? Well, he had to have some money to be able to pay for the new car. Well, a negative thing is going to happen in your life. I hope that you don't get in a car accident like my friend did. He's fine, by the way. He's fine. His name is Brian. He's all fixed up. He's back. He went to the hospital, got taken care of. But now, anyways, he got out of the hospital, and he just got right back after it because he had an emergency fund, and he's living on less than he makes. So he's okay. He's fine. And you can do that too. You have to start with your emergency fund, and your emergency fund is $1,000 to $5,000 for emergencies. For people who make less than $75,000 a year, that's probably your initial baby emergency fund. You need to have the $1,000 to $5,000. So because I referenced Dave Ramsey a couple times, and I'm a student of his work, and by the way, I love his program. I've been following it all of my life, and that's one of the reasons that I've grown to be wealthy and learn to spend less than I make. You're going to need to learn to save this $1,000. And when you do that 30-day challenge, that's when you should start to see progress. Spend less than you make. Do the 30-day challenge where you spend nothing on anything. And in fact, sell everything that you can possibly sell in your house that has any kind of value on eBay, to your friends, to your neighbor, anybody that you can sell something to that has value. sell it so you can get $1,000 in the bank, because you've got to get ahead of this thing. You've got to change your behavior so radically right at the beginning that it starts to become a visual in your life that says, oh, I actually can spend less than I make and I can save a little money. Because that, without that initial skill, you will never be able to go beyond where you are today. You've got to develop the discipline of spending less than you make and saving money. Save the $1,000. Put yourself a goal to save $1,000 within the next 60 days. Do it. Put it on the calendar. Say 60 days, I'm going to have $1,000. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell everything that's not attached to the house or the apartment. I'm going to look for opportunity. I'm going to walk dogs if I have to. I'm going to babysit some kids. If it's not creepy, don't do it if it's creepy, because I would never let anybody babysit my kids who was creepy. So I'm gonna go do Uber. I'm gonna go do Amazon Eats. I'm gonna do something extra in my life with the extra time that I have to save this $1,000, and I'm gonna do it within 60 days. You can do it. The craziest part is you can do it, and some of you just don't know it, and you're not doing it because you don't know you can do it. But I'm telling you, you can absolutely do it. Your time is worth it. If you go find a place where you can invest your time, you can absolutely make this money, make this $1,000 to $5,000 within 60 days. So start with the $1,000, because that's where you have to start to get ahead. There are so many people in the marketplace that say, all right, so let me write it down. Let me write this out, because we need visuals, right? We need visuals to make this a lot more interesting. So, right, eliminate debt. Well, if I knew how to eliminate debt, right, I wouldn't have any debt, right? Okay, so I hope I'm spelling this right. Eliminate debt, right? Debt. So, but how do we eliminate debt? Like, well, obviously, I don't want to be in debt. Sounds kind of logical, right? But how do we do it? Okay, so the way you do it is you start with the smallest. Start with smallest debt. Let me emphasize. I want to put exclamation marks on that. Okay, start with the smallest debt, and don't judge me for my handwriting. It's like, why would I start with the smallest debt? I need to start with the one that has the highest interest. No, you do not need to start with the one that has the highest interest. If you were thinking about interest, you would have done a completely different process altogether in your financial history. Okay, so screw the interest. I don't care what it is. Start with the smallest debt. If you start with the smallest debt, you'll make progress. If you were thinking about interest, you wouldn't be in this mess. So I spend less than I make. First behavior, start to save some money, sell everything in my vicinity that I can sell to make the $1,000. And two, start to eliminate debt. This is unbelievably insane. So many people start trying to save money, spend less than they make, and they're paying 20+% on their credit card. You want a guaranteed return in your life? Cut up your freaking credit card. Some people tell you that you cannot live life without a credit card. And those people are all poor. And those people, well, okay, maybe they're not all poor. I'm sorry if I offended somebody out there who's not poor and you have a credit card. So you might be in that category. Hurrah to you. Well done. But for the rest of people, they're in the category where if they have a $400 emergency fund, $400 to $1,000 emergency fund, emergency this month, they're going to have to use a credit card. That's insane to me. Remember the baby, beginning of the video, the baby having more net worth than you, the baby who has zero net worth, and you, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, and you have a less net worth than the baby, like you're minus because you have so much debt that you can't breathe. Well, that's what we're talking about right now. So the interest that you're paying on your credit cards and on your debt, even if you're leasing a vehicle, we'll talk about that in a second. Even if you're leasing a vehicle, the interest that you are paying, that is money going out. That's a guaranteed return on your money. 100% guaranteed. If you don't spend it, you don't pay the interest. This is probably one of the number one things that helped my wife and I stay out of debt all of our lives, is because we never had credit card. We never had a credit card. Take that back. I had one credit card before I got in the United States Air Force when I was 19 years old. And I used it one time and I felt so bad about using it because I listened to the Dave Ramsey stuff all my life that I immediately closed the card. I used it on a hotel in San Antonio, Texas. I immediately closed the card and I cut it up, and that was it. I never used it again. So I eliminated credit cards from my life. My wife came in from without any credit cards, and now we started on this journey eliminating debt in every single form. And we never chose to use debt in any way. If we couldn't afford it, we didn't buy it. And this is probably one of the number one things that helped me to be wealthy over long term. My wife and I have been married for we're going on 16 years this year, and we have never had any debt. We've never had a credit card, and we built one house that we lost, and now we live in this big beautiful house that we actually own and everything around it, and that's awesome. We actually own this house and about 20 acres right around us, and I rent the land further beyond, because I actually have a farm as well. I'll show you that. I think I've made a couple videos about that, but I'll show you that in future videos. So, all right, so guys, eliminate debt. Start with the smallest debt, and it's about psychology. If you were thinking, and if you were believing that you could be wealthy one day, you wouldn't be in this debt. So what you need to do is reverse the whole program. Reverse it completely. Don't start looking at interest rates and start to get all theoretical about this stuff. Screw the theory, throw it out the window. Okay? Now, start with the smallest debt. You rank your debts from biggest balance to smallest balance, and look at the smallest balance and ask yourself, from my paycheck this month, can I pay off that smallest balance? And you pay minimum payments on all the other payments except the smallest. Whatever margin you have above the $1,000, you just saved $1,000. Remember, you started spending less than you make. You did the 30-day challenge, and you actually realized in 25 days you made enough money to get your $1,000. Like, oh my gosh, this might work. And then you look and you're like, okay, I got another month ahead. Maybe I don't want to live so frugally this next month because that was really miserable, that 30-day challenge. So let's do a little bit more and, have a couple nice things for that next period. And so when we do that, but let's look at what debt we have from the biggest to the smallest and pay off the smallest. Pay off the smallest one this month. If you can possibly pay off the smallest one this month, this week, in the next 2 weeks, do it. Because this gives you momentum. This gives you the feeling that, this reinforces in your mind and in your spirit that I can win. Wait a minute, I don't have to live in debt all my life. I actually can pay some of this stuff off. Pay minimum payments on everything except the smallest one, and boom, attack it with a vengeance. The Bible has a saying. It says, if you found yourself to be in debt, deliver yourself as the bird from the hand of the fowler, or I'm using old English language here, or the gazelle from the attack, or whatever it is, from the being attacked by the cheetah, by the lion. It says, deliver yourself like that. So what does that mean? It means like I list my debts from smallest to largest, and I look at the smallest one and I attack that one. Like, you ever seen the gazelles out there in the field? You've seen them walking around out there in the field on National Geographics, and lurking in the bushes is a cheetah, and he's walking along there and he's like, okay, which one? I'm sizing him up, like which one can I catch? And he's like trying to get close to one and trying to get around and manipulate himself in the position so he can attack. And then he gets in his position. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden all the gazelles look up and they look over and like, oh my gosh, there's a cheetah. They have like a sensor on the back of their ear or something. And boom, he sees the cheetah, and the cheetah like, oh man, they see me. All right, I got to get after it. And so he starts running. They can go from 0 to like 40 miles an hour in 3 leaps or something crazy like that. And so the cheetah takes off, and the gazelles are taking off, and boom, they're out after it. And he's just running, and the gazelles are running for their life. And that's the mentality that the Bible says you need to have when you attack your debt. I'm running for my life. And if you actually watch a lot of those geographic videos, the gazelle does not escape, which is very sad. But if you watch it, if you watch enough of those videos, you'll find a gazelle that escapes. And that gazelle, my friend, is you. You are the gazelle that's freaking escaping from the lion because you are doing these things that I'm going to talk about in this video. You're spending less than you make, and you're eliminating debt. And you start with the smallest debt. Start with the smallest debt. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is. I don't care. Start with the smallest debt and start paying it off. Smallest to largest as quickly as possible with every bit of margin that you can. And this time, you better be working extra jobs, doing Uber, Amazon, whatever, Eats, everything you can possibly do to make a little more money. Whatever is most profitable, whatever the skill is that the time is that you have that is most profitable for you to spend your time on to make the most money from, do that thing. If it's babysitting, do that. If it's watching your neighbor's dog, do that. If it's walking 6 other dogs, do that. If it's delivering food, do that. My friend, when he was getting out of debt, he said he could make $700 a week making delivering food. I was like, good on you, man. Excellent. Do that. And he got out completely out of debt and saved up over $100,000 and is going on to building wealth. And it's really cool. This is a thing that's, man, it's insane to think about. And I want to just take you through a really quick calculator really quickly and go to RamseySolutions.com and find the calculator that is it's called Ramsey Investment Calculator. Just look it up just look it up. I'll have a link in the description as well. But just go to Ramsey Calculator, type in your age. So if you're 25 years old, plan to retire, it automatically populates 67. How much money do you currently have in your investments? And if you have nothing, just put 0. And then how much money you want to contribute monthly. And this is the crazy part, guys. So if you contribute $250 a month, that's less than $10 per day. You spend $10 per day on Starbucks. You spend $10 per day on Starbucks! And that's costing you your retirement. So let's say $250 and you make an annual percent of 10%. I actually make more than 10%. Guys, this is almost painful when I look at this, because I know how many people out there who are in such a situation that they don't have any money and they're just struggling and they think they cannot win. But guys, I'm here to tell you, you can freaking win, and all you have to do is try, and not even try hard, just a little, just try a little, just a little. Okay. So if you're 25 years old and you're watching this video and you end up broke, that's on you, because I'm going to tell you how to become a millionaire, multi-millionaire by the time you're 67. Okay. If you invest $250 a month, $250, and you never increase the amount from age 25 to 67, you will have $1.9 million. Guys, you have to start investing. The point is here, start investing. We've eliminated debt, right? We've eliminated debt by starting with our smallest debt. We did the smallest, the largest. We did a snowball that has a snowball effect, because now we believe we can win, and we start paying off all the debts faster until we get to the end. And so the third step, guys, start investing. Man, I feel like a preacher right now, because I imagine what pastors and preachers must feel like as they're standing on the stages and like trying to help people to believe in Jesus, and they feel so they feel so strongly that people should accept Jesus, and the people in the crowd, and they know people are not accepting him. They're like, oh, I just feel so sad. And I feel kind of like that right now. Start investing, because I know how many people, your hopes and dreams, start investing. I'm going to explanation that again. Boom. It has to, it's like that. I have to do it now. If you invest $250 from the age you are right now per month, just $250, and you never get a raise for the entirety of your life, ever, and you only invest $250 every freaking month, you have $2 million. Guys, stop buying Starbucks or whatever it is that costs you $250 that you don't really need. Stop doing that and just invest it in the S&P 500. Not even a great investment fund. My investments make more than 10% per year, 10% annual return. I've been doing this for over 10 years by now, and they make more than that. over the long term. So guys, I know this is possible because I do it. This is what I do on a daily basis. And if you see the change in my face and the anxiousness in the and angst in my spirit, it's because this is such a simple principle. If you simply do this one thing, you will retire a multimillionaire. And that means when you turn 67, my voice is cracking a little bit right now because of how passionate I am about this, guys. This is incredible. When you turn 67, you have $1.9 million, which means you can take an income of $150,000 per year, and the $1.9 million will never go away. What? How is that possible? Okay, rudimentary math. You have so $2 million. We'll just round it up to $2 million. 10% of $2 million is 100,000. So if we want a nicer retirement, let's just say we want to have 150,000. It's going to grow at 10% per year. So that means you have $2 million that grows at 10% per year, and you take 150,000 out. That means it grows at $200,000 per year on average. I understand it goes up and down. I get it. I know this. I know how it works. Okay, so that means it grows about $200,000 per year, and you take 150,000 out to live on, which is pretty dang good retirement. I mean, most people don't retire on that money. My grandfather did not retire on that money. Most old people that I know right now are not having $150,000 retirement incomes because they didn't save enough in their lifetime. Okay, so now you can retire. You can take $150,000 out of the account every single year, and the amount continues to grow. And you can give it to your kids, and you can build a legacy like nobody in your family ever did. And that's amazing. You can pass on your wealth to your children's children. When you die, it will have like $3 million in there. Because the odds are, if you could live a good life and you're healthy and you're strong, you try to be, wise, and God blesses you, you can live to 80, 90 years old. Well, what happens when you're like 90 years old? And let's just increase the age here and see what happens. 90 years old, and you have, oh my freaking gosh. So the assumption is that you continued putting in $250 per month and you didn't take any out, and you would have like $20 million. And this is only $250 a month, guys. Only $250 a month. So you must start investing. So what do you start investing? You start investing 15% of your pre-tax income. Okay, 15% of pre-tax income. If you do this, you will be a millionaire. If you do this one thing, you will be a millionaire. Okay. I need to put a disclaimer there. If you do this and you don't have more than $2 million of debt when you get to this stage of your life, you will be a millionaire, because you could easily continue being in debt and just ruin all of your everything and do this, and you would still have a negative net worth because you leverage yourself too much into debt. So, okay, so start investing 15% of your pre-tax income. Because how do we do that? Because now you have an emergency fund. Because now you don't have any more debt other than your house. And now you can actually invest something because you've learned to save and live on less than you make. Oh, wow, I actually can. Guys, let me just run another number really quickly. I'm going to put age 65, and if you invest from the age 25 to age 65 and you do $500 a month and you start with zero, that's $3.1 million. You can do this. That's a car payment. I hope you like your freaking car. That's a single car payment for your entire life. I mean, actually, I've been listening to some talk show hosts on the radio, and when the callers call in, they're spending more than this. There's some people like, oh, my car is like $750 a month. And I'm like, do you realize how many millions of dollars that is at 65 years old? Change the number to 70. Change the number to 70. I mean, I love this calculator because you can just pop in the numbers and it pops it up. $5.2 million. I hope you freaking like the car. So invest 50% of your pre-tax income. And so at this stage, you've got your emergency fund. You have paid off all your small debts. You're investing 15% of your pre-tax income. and now you have some margin left over because you've learned to save and live on less than you make, and you take the rest of that money and put it towards your mortgage, and you pay off your mortgage early. So my recommendation is 15-year mortgage. If you're going to get one, 15-year fixed rate. Okay, this is the mortgage you want. If you can't afford this mortgage, then you can't afford the house that you're looking at. What? I can't have the house I'm looking at. I wanted that big pretty house. You can have the big pretty house when you can afford it, okay? So just relax. 25%, the rule is 25%. 25%, guys, of your take-home pay can be your payment for your house. So that includes the expenses for your house. 25%. That's a house. That's the mortgage. That's the insurance, and that's 25%. Okay, and that can be your mortgage payment. If you cannot fit the house that you want to buy into this, don't buy the house. You're setting yourself up for financial stress and a inability to invest. If you cannot start investing because you have too big of a house, you're stealing millions of dollars from your future and from the future of all of your family. Don't do that. Start investing 50% from your pre-tax income and use 25% on the house. Because now you've got this discipline, right? We already went through the steps. You've got the discipline of starting living on less than you make. We paid off all of our smallest debts. We start investing 15% in pre-tax income, and we have a house that is 25% of our take-home pay. And now we can pay more on our house because we have a plan for our money. We're investing in retirement, and we have a 25% only, not more, in our house payment. And because of this, we have a little bit extra margin. And what do we do with that margin? It goes on this house. So you want to increase that payment on this. You want to increase to 25%, not because you have to, but because you can. And that's how you get paid off. That's how you build wealth much faster in your mortgage, because you have taken your house from this big 30-year process where you pay a bank interest for a really long time, which is really bad. Banks have been in business for hundreds of years because people pay interest to banks all their life. The banks are making bank. Oh, is that why it's called a bank? I don't know. Anyways, the banks are making bank because all people's lives they're paying interest to banks. If you have, guys, this is just a pro tip out there. If you have a leased car, give it back and get a clunker, because that car is costing you so much money. If you're leasing the car every month, the calculations that really smart people that I don't know have made is that you're paying at least 14% interest on your car to lease the car. When everything's said and done, when the dust is completely settled, you're paying at least 14%. That sounds dumb. It means if you don't pay for a leased car, you will save 14% on your money, which is an unbelievable freaking return, which means you didn't pay somebody else interest, you got the interest, and you're able to put it in your retirement or your investment fund or towards your house and pay it off in like 5 years, because you don't have the payment and you're not paying interest to somebody else. So that's the step. That's a really important and very, very powerful step in the process. And that's something you have to do to get out of your negative worth and to start building wealth. So as you think about this, as you work on building wealth, and as you're trying to become more financially secure in your life, there's some really important things that you need to ask yourself. Do I need such an expensive apartment? I want it. Obviously, we all want something way nicer, but do I need it? Do I need this car? Do I need this new car? Well, it's reliable, and just shut up, okay? There are many reliable cars on the market that have more than 100,000 miles. And you can go buy one and it will last you for years. Well, that's not possible. Just shut up. I know, because I have them. I currently drive those kind of cars, and it's fine, and I am fine, and the car gets me and my entire family where we need to go. Actually, at this point in my life, the most expensive car that I bought is like $25,000. That's the most expensive car I bought, and I'm a multimillionaire. And my most expensive car is worth about $25,000. One of the reasons is because I have such a hard time with the value that goes down how fast the value goes down. I can't handle it. It's so buy a car that is, I mean, at first you just buy the cheapest car you can that gets you around. Hondas, they last forever. Toyotas, they last forever. Get a Toyota, a Honda, old Ford, something that was taken care of, something that was maintained, and you can tell if it's taken care of. How do you tell that? You go, you see the owner, you see how they act, how they carry themselves, who they are as a person. You get to know, you have a sense of what kind of person it is that you're buying the car from. And granted, somebody may be a really good salesman, but then you take a look at the car. How does the car look? Is it clean? Does it have dust all over the dashboard? Is it just did they bother to vacuum it? Did they wash the car before they brought it to you? When you look under the hood, do you see oil dripping out of it? I mean, just you can check and see just some very basic review of the car, and you can know, like, okay, this is probably a fine deal. And by the way, because you have an emergency fund, in the event that you bought a $5,000 car and you have a $1,500 repair, it's okay because you have an emergency fund. You just pay for the repair and then you refill your emergency fund over the next couple months. It's as easy as that. And that's why you have the emergency fund in place. In the event that you do make a silly mistake on a car that needed a repair that you didn't know about, well, just repair the car. You've got an emergency fund. Take care of it. It's fine. You're okay. And so that's the way we look at this as wealthy people. We don't look at it as how awesome will I look now that I have this vehicle, or how amazing will I feel? What is it going to take to get me from here to there? And my status doesn't really matter that much. I'd rather see money in my bank account than have money going out the window as I'm driving my car down the road. I'd rather actually be wealthy than drive down the road and have everybody think I'm wealthy. Because most of the people, like 9 out of 10 of those people who are driving cars next to you down the road, they can barely breathe each month because they don't have enough money at the end of the month. In fact, a lot of those people are probably living on credit cards. And remember, I think the statistic was more than 70% at some point. 70% of credit card holders at some point will go into their what do they call it? Overdraft, not overdraft. Will go into their high interest payments cycle, which means above 18%. They'll get into the above 18% category and stay there for years. Oh my gosh. It means you can save 18%. You can get an 18% return on your money simply by not using the credit card. Please don't use the credit card. Get 18% return on your money. Buy a clunker at first. And once you drive a clunker for 12 months, you can save up another few $1,000s. And then you can sell your clunker because it doesn't go down in value anymore because it already lost all of its value for about the same money that you bought it for about 12 months from now. Add $2,000 to it and buy a little nicer car. And then do the same thing in 12 months. Add a couple $1,000s to it and buy a nicer car. Now you're driving a $12,000 car in 3 years and it was all debt free and you paid no one any interest. That's how rich people think. And so that's what I've been doing for all of these years. I've never owned a new car. And I don't intend to own a new car very soon because I don't need it. When I go somewhere, if somebody has a comment to say about my car, I'm like, well, you should see how much in my investment. You should see how much is in my investment account. And I mean, that's the end of the conversation. It's like, okay, granted, my cars are not crazy. I have for my farm work, I have a 2007 Chevrolet Suburban. For my farm work, I actually have a 2007 Chevrolet Suburban, and my wife drives a nice sedan, and I have a Ford Transit van for my family and my kids. That's the most expensive car we have. That's the nicer Ford van. So, anyways, that's how we roll with it. And when we buy a car, we just save up the money and we buy it. You think, well, you're a millionaire. You can just spend the money on anytime you want. Actually, no. Okay, actually, yes, but theoretically, yes, but I don't because we live out our lives so planned. We plan our money, and we still continue to plan our money. So that means every month we have some kind of plan that we're doing, and I have the percentage of where all our money goes every month when we make our income. And I don't, unless I'm going to buy the car, I don't have the money in that account to buy the car because I'm not going to buy the car because that's going to an investment, or that's going to further grow our company, or that's going to somewhere else that I can apply the money that it can grow on, either on itself, or that it can create something that can grow a profit much greater than itself. So that's how wealthy people live. That's how I live, and that's what's gotten me here. So that's how a lot of wealthy people that I know live, and that's why I adopted that mentality and that practice. So I want to point out, guys, that this is not some kind of high calculus math that you have to figure out and learn in some kind of prestigious university to understand how to do the finances. It's 8th grade or less math. And that's the thing that so many people don't realize. This is not hard. Now, people make it hard by saying, well, if you have debt, you can list it from smallest to largest, but you definitely need to find the one with the highest interest rate to pay those off first. Again, remember what I said about if you were thinking about interest, you wouldn't be in this mess. That's the whole point. It's behavior, not interest. Okay. You start with the behavior of not being irresponsible with money so that you can actually start saving money and investing money and paying off all your debts. So it's not about this grand theory of understanding all these incredible numbers. It's about simple, very simple steps, like living on less than you make, saving your emergency fund, buying your house with a 15-year fixed rate, not more than 25%, investing 15%. And now that we have our plan, we realize we have a little bit extra money in our budget, and we put that towards the house so we pay it off faster, and getting all the possible interest-bearing payments out of your life completely forever. And once you do that, all the money that comes into your account is now interest-free, or can work for you towards interest instead of for the bank. So just realize that all the money that you make in your lifetime, it will be multiple millions of dollars for most people in America today. All that money that you make, somebody is making interest off of that money. Someone. And wealthy people realize that we want the interest to come to us off of the money that we make. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into making that money. So we want the interest on our money that comes into our life to be made to flow towards us continually. And that's how you truly get wealthy. And so all the money that's flowing into your account is going to have interest paid on it. And that interest is either going to go to a bank, some kind of investment firm, or it's going to come back to you. You want to get rid of all of the payments in your life, including your house, as fast as you can, so that you can get all the interest flowing towards you. Because once you do that, just imagine. Let's go back to the calculator for just a second and just imagine. What if you could invest let's just go from age 30 to age 65, you could invest, you just invested a static amount. You started with zero, and you can invest $2,000 a month at a 10% rate. So at age 30, because you no longer have any payments, because you spent the last 12 years working and paying off your house, you have 7.5. So from 30 to 65, and you invested $2,000 a month, you have $7.5 million. $7.5 million. And that's how wealthy people think. And and the whole point of this video is you can do it. If you follow the simple steps, here they are. Simple. They're very simple. First, spend less than you make. Second, eliminate debt. Third, start investing 15% of your pre-tax income. And I think it's like, and as you get your house, do not spend more than 25% on your, make sure that you can buy a house in the 15-year fixed rate mortgage that's not more than 25% of your take-home pay, and pay it off as fast as possible. Do these things, continue investing beyond this, and you will have so much money. No one in your family probably ever had that much money. Ever. And this is what I would do if I had less than $10,000 in the bank. So in conclusion, guys, I hope this helps somebody out there today. If you listen to my advice, you'll become a millionaire. And if you work towards the direction of building your wealth and not owing anybody anything else, you will become a millionaire over a long term if you do this wisely. So if you have less than $10,000 in your bank account, it's time to take action right now. You need to take action right now. Nobody else in your life can do this for you. Nobody else will do it for you. And I don't even know if anybody cares to do it for you. You can do this, and it's not that difficult. People make it sound like it's really difficult, and it's not. It's simply not. It's simply denying some of the things right now so that you can get to a place in life where you're unbelievably successful and being able to be generous and give like no one else, and help the people around you, and see needs and just meet those needs. Because I mean, just showing. I mean, I remember the story of a guy who became wealthy, and it impacted me so hard. This is way back when I didn't have much money, and he was able to give a couple $10,000 who were struggling to try to adopt children, and enabling them to start their family and actually have children because they couldn't have children. And he was able to show up, give them $10,000 and fund their child adoption. And they were just floored by the amazing blessing that was. And you can do the exact same things. And I think that's part of making the world a better place. I think that's why we need to do this. Because if we do stuff like this, we can have more people like that. More people who give more, who are unbelievably generous, who can just show up and take care of things that were a challenge for someone. Could just show up and buy a car. Wouldn't you like to just be able to show up and buy a family that's struggling a car, and help them to be able to start their journey? I would, and I do. I mean, that's what we can do at this stage. And so we continue to work and do stuff like that, and to be an influence on those around us. And this is the way to start. So I hope this helps somebody out there. I hope this gives you the glimmer of hope, and then some of the steps that you need to take to actually do this, because you can do it. And then that you go and actually take those steps today, starting now, that you've resolved in your spirit. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm going to do this now. And you go and do this. Spend less than you make, eliminate debt, start investing. Make sure that you eliminate all the expenses from your life, all the interest-bearing expenses from your life, and then you can grow wealth too. So guys, I wanted you to tell me in the comments which of these steps that you are in and which steps you're going to take today. And we're going to read those and respond to those accordingly, guys. My last comment, guys, is please subscribe to the channel. Keep receiving notifications about the content that I'm posting out. I'm going to continue to post more content just like this in business and finance to help people prosper and to help people to live on less than they make and be able to create legendary wealth that makes your world and our world an incredibly better place.